You are listening to A Scary State, and this week we're talking about Missouri. So, Lauren.
Yes, Kenzie.
Let's get scary.
Let's do it on this snowy day.
In our new studio.
Our new studio!
Woohoo!
It looks so good.
It
it's
looks
so
fantastic.
Fun. We maybe have too many skeletons, but...
No such thing. No such thing.
You're right. We just need more ghosties.
Yeah, we definitely need to, add some variety to the spooky things in here. But skeletons are brand.
Exactly.
We are skeletons.
We are.
Yeah.
And we have it tattooed on our body forever.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
Mackenzie and I are currently in a snow day, and it's been amazing. If you're on the East Coast, actually, I don't even know where the storm has hit, but here we've had snow for the past 7 hours. No, way more than that. It started at 2 a.m. and it is now 3 p.m.
Yeah, it's still snowing.
It is still snowing.
Snowing a lot.
That's
It's not
very exciting.
a lot of snow, though. If you look outside.
That's coming down, but what's been dropped is a lot.
Well, yeah, but I can start to see the grass.
No.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Mm.
It's always the first snow part is fun, and then when you
Mhm.
start to see the grass, when everything gets all brown, then it's it loses its fun appeal.
Yeah, when I was driving here today, I remembered, I was like, why is snow so fucking dirty?
Yeah.
Probably because it's white.
Probably.
Yeah.
I couldn't go to work today, so Mackenzie came over early, and we just had a whole snow day.
Watch some TV shows.
We finally started Only Murders in the Building.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Like we said we were going to one episode.
Yes. We finally started and almost didn't record
Almost.
because we were just watching it.
So I have an elevator story for you.
Okay.
So everyone knows I don't like elevators.
You? What?
Yeah.
No way.
So my grandma's moving into a new place, and we went to go tour it the other day. So we meet in the lobby because I wasn't about to take the elevator from the parking garage. So we met in the lobby, and we're getting ready to go upstairs, and she's going to be on the 3rd floor. And some lady got on the elevator. A lot of old people followed her. My mom's like, come on, Lauren. I said, no. And she's like, Lauren, come on. And I said, I want to find the stairs. And there was so much going on, so I had to get on, and I hated it. So I'm squeezing my mom's hand, and my grandma looks at me, and she goes, what's wrong? Oh my God, we're on an elevator. And I was like, I know. And so the elevator didn't start right away, and it kept not starting right away. And I need them, if I'm getting on, it needs to start, it needs to stop immediately. Mm-hmm. And so Mom told me that she was thinking, oh God, please just start moving.
Had to have a freaking meltdown in front of all these strangers.
All these old strangers. So we finally get up to the floor. I get off, and I was like, all right, that's it. I'm done. No more elevators. Thankfully, I found the stairs right by her apartment, so I'll be able to go down the stairs.
Is it max one a day, one a week, one a month?
How much I can do?
Yeah.
See, I don't know.
Mm.
It's just I can't do it. Mm-hmm. If I'm forced into the situation, I have to mentally prepare myself, and it's a whole thing. People at work, like I say, are always trying to get me to go on, and I'm like, I physically cannot. I cannot. Mm-hmm. It's just when the opportunity presents itself. So I told my mom, I said, I met my quota for the year.
The year?
We're good.
The year?
Unless something comes up where I have to, if I'm in New York and we're on going somewhere and I have to be on the 50th floor.
But 49, you're taking the stairs.
You know what? I mean, I would do it up to 16.
Yeah. That on your own.
It's sometimes...
Unless your husband's with you, because God bless him, I'm never doing that with you.
I know. It's just sometimes I just am not in the right mental space to be able to go on one.
I'm never in the right mental space to walk up 16 flights of stairs, so...
See, I would prefer that all the time.
Clearly, because you did it.
I did. Yes, I did.
Fast, by the way.
Thank you. I have gotten really good at stairs.
I was shocked when you said that you took the stairs.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's quite fast.
All right. Are we going to get into... Oh, we also want to apologize for the sound issues we've had.
Fault.
Well, the last one really was. I have to click a lot of things on my end, on the techie side, and
she didn't click it.
I did not click the right things.
Lauren sucks.
Oh, I was so mad. So we apologize for the sound. We apologize for the episode before that, where my sound was also weird for some reason.
Yeah, still, not we. You are sorry, because you fucked it up.
For last episode, yeah. The episode before that wasn't my fault.
Yeah, that was just
technical things. But last episode, yeah, that was totally my mess up.
You fucked up.
I did. I just sent Mackenzie a Snapchat. I was like, so I fucked up.
And I said, remember all the times you told me that one of these days?
Yep, and that day came.
And that day came. Out of all the ones that we've had that have been essentially flawless.
I can't stop looking at that one little button, making sure it's pressed.
Out of 136 episodes, 135 of them went off without almost a hitch. And I think that's pretty good odds.
See, I think it has to happen once a year. Because last year we had the one where we had to re-record my super long-ass section.
Well, yeah, but that, I feel like, was, again, circumstances.
Yeah.
Very, like, this one is human error.
That's true.
So
like, manifesting it, we're done.
Yeah, we're done. Met our quota for the year.
A lot of quotas met this month.
No more.
All right. I'm going to jump into Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Imagine a group of circus elephants out in nature. That's what you'll find at Elephant Rock State Park, except they're massive, pinkish pieces of granite. Some weigh more than 600 tons and reach more than 20 feet high. Jeez. The rocks sit within the St. Francois Mountains, running along southern Missouri, and were born millions of years ago from molten magma. As the granite was exposed, it weathered, becoming rounded and smooth. You'll find the rocks in the heart of the Ozark ecoregion. I thought that was ecoregion.
Yep, I thought so too when I wrote it.
Also home to fragile and slow-growing lichens and mosses. Guests are cautioned not to damage the plants as they help the rocks withstand weathering. Many visitors try to squeeze beneath or between the rocks, barely human-sized spaces, or they walk along the interpretive trail, which is accessible to the visually and physically handicapped. Oh. Other trails lead to the maze like Devil's Kitchen and Fat Man's Squeeze, a small pass threading between the rocks. Of course. The state's wiggly eastern border is almost entirely created by the Mississippi River. And we have our map back.
We fucking have our map!
So we can see everything.
Yeah, I guess that's right. It's like all right here, right?
Yeah, super squiggly.
Yeah. Oh my God, we're like geniuses now that we have our map.
I know. Tall grass, which can grow high enough to cover a horseback rider on a horse, wow, used to cover 50 million acres of the state, but now very little of it remains. Prairie State Park in this region is one of the few places these super tall grasses are preserved. Missouri is home to the biggest mammal in North America, the American bison. Black bears...
What did the bison say to his son?
Bison.
Bison.
When did I say that recently? Is it on another episode?
I don't know.
Black bears, bobcats, mountain lions, and endangered gray wolves also live in the state. Peregrine falcons, eastern screech owls, and purple finches are some of the birds that fly through Missouri.
Is that the type, is it just falcons in general? Or when I saw that, I thought it might be the falcon that, like, is associated with your grandfather.
Hawks.
Well, okay. So.
I mean, close enough.
Falcons and hawks look alike. They're big-ass fucking birds.
They are, yes. I don't know the difference, so.
It's like a coyote and a dingo.
Yeah.
They're, like, the same.
Oh. I didn't know that.
I mean, in my head.
Oh.
I don't know if that's legitimate.
Okay, so yeah, that's the falcon and the hawk for me, too.
Yeah. Alligators and crocodiles. They're the same thing.
But they're not.
I know.
Oh, but in your head.
But in my head.
Crocodiles are apparently way more dangerous.
Yeah, they have more of a rounded snout as well.
They're the ones who will hunt you. They enjoy hunting humans. Mm-hmm. Not just, like, to eat you, because, like, that's what animals need to do, but, like, they hunt you. Scary. Okay.
Don't tell my mom. She's already afraid of the alligators.
Well, I'll tell her. It's just alligators. There's no crocodiles.
Are there crocodiles
I don't
in
know.
Florida? I think there's all types.
That's literally an already populated question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Great Plains rat snakes and prairie massagassaguas, a type of rattlesnake. Those are the reptiles that are in the state.
Yep.
I wouldn't picture rattlesnakes in Missouri for some reason. I, like, get it.
Oh, like more desert?
Yeah, but when I think of Missouri, I don't think, oh, rattlesnake.
Yeah, no, I think of prairie dog.
Yeah, exactly. Missouri is the top producer of mined lead in the United States, and it's mainly used in car batteries. The state also produces the most lime in the nation. Lime is a mineral used for steel manufacturing, among other things. I thought lions, like limes, but no, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a ding, 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 because we'll come back to lime in my story.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
The Gateway Arch in St. Louis is the tallest man-made monument in the United States. At 630 feet, it's more than twice the height of the Statue of Liberty. Wow. I drove by it. I have a picture of it. Wow. When we were on our road trip, we drove by it, and I was like, ooh, look at that.
I will never go up in that thing.
Oh, no.
The Washington Monument, and the Statue of Liberty will all be admired from afar.
From the ground, maybe.
Not even.
That's scary, too, looking up.
I cannot look up in a city. every time we went to New York, I did not look up.
Oh, I did.
I just looked in front or down.
What I want to do at the monument, I know you won't be the one to join me for this, is you know how people will lay on their back and put their feet up against, like put their legs on the monument so they're staring straight up at it? Oh, see, I want to do that. With nearly 200 officially registered fountains, Kansas City has earned its nickname, the City of Fountains.
You know what fucks me up?
What?
Is that Kansas City, Missouri and Kansas City, Kansas are like right next to each other.
Yeah, it's so weird. Missouri is bordered by 8 states. You might already know that, but can you name all 8 of these states? Okay, Mackenzie's testing me. All right, we got Iowa, Nebraska,
Yes.
Kansas,
Yes.
Oklahoma,
Yes.
Arkansas,
Yes.
Kentucky,
Yes.
Tennessee,
Yes.
Illinois.
Yes. Did
That's
you say
8.
Did you say Kansas?
Huh?
Okay. Then yes, you got it.
Boom! Because we have our map.
You know, I put it in there and I was like, I'm going to test her. And I was like, fuck, we're going to have the map now. She's going to get it.
If I didn't have the map, it wouldn't have gone that seamlessly.
No. That's okay.
Because I know the shapes of the states.
I should have just done
You should have covered up the map. Red's Giant Hamburger dates back to 1947, and it earns credit as being the first fast food restaurant to have a drive-through window. Missourians still flock to Red's Giant Hamburger in Springfield for a delicious burger and a side of nostalgia. If you're making a call to a Missouri number, you'll dial one of 6 area codes first. Missouri area codes are 314-636-816-660-573, and 417.
Missouri's not a small state.
No.
And it has 6 area codes.
I feel like Virginia doesn't have that many.
Nova has 2.
Yeah.
There's no other place around Virginia that has 2 within one area.
Oh. Interesting. Yeah, that is a lot. Well, I think it's a lot. You don't think it's a lot. But I think there's just not a lot of people there.
Yeah, well, that's why, like, 6 seems so little because it's a big state. But in Virginia, I feel like there's way more.
Yeah, like more people.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can only use so many numbers in an area.
Yeah. Did you know that the 555 you hear in numbers on TV shows and movies is just made for TV shows and movies?
Yeah, no number has 555.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I thought that was a thing we've learned when we were, like, really young.
I learned it on one of the, like, city bus tours we went on the drama trip.
Oh, that's really funny.
Yeah.
Oh. The honor to host the first Olympics in America was originally given to Chicago. However, the games were ultimately held in St. Louis during the summer of 1904. Missouri is the location of the first successful parachute jump. In March of 1912, according to Air and Space magazine, Captain Albert Berry executed the first successful parachute jump from an airplane in St. Louis. They ascended to 1,500 feet, and as they approached a nearby military installation, Berry saw an insane asylum and reportedly said, "That's where we both belong," to the pilot.
Couldn't agree more.
Missouri is actually the site of the most powerful earthquake to strike the continental U.S. There were actually 3 earthquakes, one in December, one in January, one in February, all striking New Madrid, Missouri. Each earthquake had a magnitude of at least 7.5. Amazingly, this makes them stronger than the San Francisco earthquake of 1906. People as far away as 1,000 miles felt it.
I definitely should have fact-checked that one because I think the one in San Francisco was 8.
On the Richter scale?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's wild. And again, Missouri is not a place that I think of like...
No, I would expected a tornado.
Earthquakes. Yeah. Yeah, that whole area is tornadoes, not earthquakes, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Although this doesn't even say what year it was now that I'm looking at it.
Nope, we just gave months of some year.
Sometime in history, Missouri had a very powerful earthquake.
Yeah. All right, Mackenzie, on this snowy day in Missouri, what do you have for us?
Well, it wasn't snowing in Missouri at this time. It's snowing here.
Exactly. A snowy day, and we're in Missouri. It makes sense.
Okay. So these, like, first couple of sections, they're short, but we'll see what I said.
And why is that?
Because I was, according to the parentheses, wrote this part a little tipsy and stoned. And I said, this will be fun. I'm not going to go back and proofread this. So, naturally, I watch true crime shows.
Obviously.
Like investigative, forensic files, 48 hours type of shit. And I started writing down interesting cases that are on the show because the episode is from like 1997. So, they're old. And I know they're not going to be talked about that much. So I had a case picked out for Missouri, but all I wrote in my notes app was Missouri, wife murdered, Lincoln County, Christmas.
Yep.
So I spent most of Saturday night after getting home from Lawrence trying to figure out what the fuck I was talking about. And I couldn't find it. But I found a different case from Missouri that is still pretty interesting.
Okay.
So in the end, I found the one that I was looking for, but it was way more recent than I thought. And I was worried that people had heard about it.
Okay.
So long story, never short. This story is about forensic scientists providing justice to a case that most believe unsolvable.
And what was the first case? What was that one ended up being like called?
It was the wife was murdered,
Mm-hmm.
but her husband was in jail for it, and it wasn't the husband. It was like the best friend or something.
Oh, and it happened in Lincoln County.
Yep.
On Christmas?
3 days afterwards.
Oh.
So, in November of 1987, Raimo Pitcairn, a Finnish land surveyor and professional map maker, discovered a human skull while he was working on a project in eastern Missouri on the S-Bar-F Boy Scout Ranch.
Oh.
Now, when I say S-Bar-F, it's because on the sign, there's an S and then a bar, like a line,
Mm-hmm.
and then an F. And that's how the narrator said it.
Okay.
So, it sounds weird, I know, but that's what it is. The ranch expanded across 5,400 acres of rural Missouri. The map maker was so scared by what he saw that he didn't tell anybody.
And you know what's wild? The last time we covered Missouri, the first time we covered Missouri, I covered a case about someone finding a skull.
Oh, look at that.
Isn't that weird?
Weird.
It's not the same one.
I
Better not be.
If you're telling me that now, guess what? You're going to hear it again, and you better act surprised.
But no, it's not the same one.
Yeah. It wasn't until he was about to leave to go back to Finland that he finally told his boss, 3 months later. And he shows his boss on a map where he found it and then pieces out back to Finland.
I mean, I can't say I would blame him.
Right. The boss lady and some scout rangers went to the area the mapmaker said they would find the skull, and sure enough, they found it. They called police, and investigators searched the area surrounding the location of the skull. In addition to the skull, they also found a few strands of hair, a lower jaw, and 40 other bones, including a pelvic bone, femur, and some ribs.
Oh my gosh.
At first, investigators thought it might be a Native American burial ground, but they also found a pair of jeans, pieces of a flowered shirt, pieces of a plastic shopping bag, and a metal button.
So I'd say no to that.
Correct.
First thought.
Investigators sent the evidence they collected to the crime lab in Jefferson City, not Lincoln County.
Oh, bummer.
The crime lab started by analyzing the jeans and could see that the outside seam was still intact, which would help them determine approximate height. From the cuff to the waistband, the outside seam was 37 inches and the inside was 27 to 28, meaning that it was a short-ass person.
See, my thing is like all of my pants, I can't find any my height. Perfect pants for me are capri on normal size people. So my pants... So my pants always have to be rolled and cuffed at the bottom, so no one would have a clue. They'd be like, "Oh, these are like for a normal size person," until they realized, "Oh, they had to be cuffed to fit a 5'2" person."
You could get these pants because they estimated that she was about 5 feet tall.
Oh,
or the skeleton. Or
these
the
pants
remains.
would fit me perfectly.
It would. They noticed signs of foul play on the skull, leading investigators to believe that whoever this was murdered.
Yes.
They analyzed the dirt. I wrote soul instead of soil.
They analyzed the dirt and the soul.
They analyzed the dirt and the soil around the scene and found traces of lime.
Oh, not the fruit.
Mm-hmm. Lime can be used to cover up the smell of a body
Mm-hmm.
and or helps it decompose quicker.
The reason why I don't think I knew was because lime is was supposed to be spelled Lyme.
They spelled it Lime.
That's a fruit.
I understand. I just went with how I saw it.
Ah, they're wrong.
Then
Or
you would
I'm
have to
very
tell a
wrong.
lot
And
of
I
people
sound
that
so
they're
stupid.
That's a lot.
Maybe I'm thinking limestone. I don't know. Or I'm thinking
No,
lye.
limestone is Li. You're thinking Lyme disease.
No,
That's with a
maybe.
Y.
Could be. What is the thing that melts people? Lime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Melts people.
It like isn't how you.
Yeah.
I'm definitely thinking Lyme's disease.
Yeah.
No. Okay, go on.
Cool.
Revelation. I'm stupid. Keep going.
Oh, I meant to ask you. I saw this TikTok earlier. You're supposed to ask your friends this. So do you think I'm smart?
Yes.
Do you think I'm stupid?
Sometimes.
It's a lot funnier when they said it on the TikTok. Because I don't know what this means, but she goes, like, how long is a piece of string or something like that? I'm like, what does that mean?
I don't know.
It's something foreign, because I looked at the comments because someone else was like, what inside joke is that? And everyone was like, it's not. It's a common phrase in Australia and like the UK.
Oh.
And I know I'm not saying it right, but it's something about how long a string is.
Yep, going right over our American heads.
Like in my head, I was like, oh, this is something similar to like, is the Pope Catholic? But something with a string.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. I thought it was going to be much funnier than it was. You were not that funny.
Mackenzie, we're not that funny, and we laugh at too many things, and we laugh at really unfunny things.
That is so true. They're just not funny, and we're annoying.
Thank you so much to that person who gave us a 2-star review. But a 2-star review, not a 1-star review, a 2-star review.
Honestly, it helps our average.
I know, so
we're fine with it.
We'll just say it now. If you rate and review us, we'll send you stickers.
Nice things.
Rate and review us nice things. You have to give us 5 stars, and it has to be nice, and we'll send you stickers.
Even if you don't think it's true, but you still want a sticker, that's fine.
Yeah.
But we're not going to give it to you if you're a dick.
Yeah, that 2-star review person, you're not getting anything.
Well, they didn't even email us.
No, they didn't. They don't want us to connect our name or their name to their comment.
I think they gave us 1 star each.
Aw, that's sweet. Okay, back to your story.
Right. So this just further confirmed police's suspicion of foul play. So when analyzing the hair, they were able to determine that the victim was most likely either Asian or Caucasian descent. Although the hair was damaged, they were able to tell by the texture that it was not the same as someone who was African American.
Okay.
Preliminary analysis was that the bones were in the wooded area no more than 8 years. The remains were possibly of Asian or white female, about 5 feet tall. And they put the information into the National Missing Persons Database, but police were not very optimistic that they would be able to identify the victim or even solve the case.
Mm-hmm.
Investigators found a pants button at the scene with the logo of a company called Texwood. They searched their databases and couldn't find any company or brand with that logo or name. And remember, well, I'll get to that in a second. They expanded their search of all of North America and still couldn't find a match.
Wow.
One of the investigators knew someone who was a U.S. Customs agent and asked him to search his database for any information on Texwood.
See, what is kind of wild is like, why don't a lot of these places have the same databases?
Because it's 1987.
Okay, valid.
When he couldn't find anything, he contacted a national import specialist, and they found that the company only manufactured clothes in Asia. They didn't send or sell any items to America, so this told investigators that the person was either recently traveled to or is from Asia.
Okay.
Side note, quick reminder that this was 1987, so there was no DNA and not much of an internet.
Right, okay, yep. Mm-hmm.
Because I had the same, I was like, just Google it, what the fuck? And then I remembered that they can't do that.
Right. Can't really do that.
Yeah. Sergeant William Conway and Dale Kreitz were the leading investigators at the time. They determined all they could from the remains and the crime scene, so they sent the skeletal remains to the University of Missouri and later Colorado State University to anthropologist Nit Bittner.
Ooh, I love it.
She was able to confirm that remains belonged to an Asian female based on the skull. Bittner said, quote, "The bridge of the nose, the square cheekbones, the overall smaller features led me to believe that this was a person of Asian descent." So, side note, I looked into what scientific terms and labels that anthropologists and forensic anthropologists use in identifying race, because the terms that they use in the Forensic Files episode, I believe, is outdated or possibly offensive.
Oh.
So, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll keep out offensive terms.
I also discovered, this is still on the side note, I also discovered that racial identification is actually a very highly contested and hot topic in the anthropology world.
Why?
Some interesting information if you are into that kind of thing, and I put the Wikipedia page in my sources if you would like to look further. But their main thing being, like, when you use the physical features, you can say, okay, they have ancestors that came from here, but that doesn't necessarily tell you their specific race.
Okay.
Because of all the other things that encompass it, like culture and
right.
geographic, where they're actually from. It was a whole explanation, and they still kind of use it for forensic things, but it's still, like, it depends on where you are and who it is that kind of is like, no, I think this is ridiculous. We can still do it based on blah, 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 blah. Or
Right.
people disagree with it.
Getting used to the new things in our space.
So for this story, I took creative liberty and changed the terms to what I thought may be more appropriate, but also keep in mind that this is from the late 1980s, early 1990s.
Right.
And a lot of what I read was like early 2000s to now. So investigators felt that between the anthropologist's analysis of the skull and the physical evidence found at the scene, i.e. the button from an Asian clothes manufacturing company, or not Asian clothes, but clothes from Asia.
Okay.
Whatever. They're manufactured in Asia, and that's where the company is.
Yep.
They could confidently determine that the remains belonged to a 5-foot-tall Asian female.
Okay.
Anthropologist was also able to determine several other features based on the skeleton. Because the bones were smooth, this meant the victim wasn't particularly muscular.
Oh.
The cranial sutures, which according to MountSinai.org, cranial sutures are fibrous bands of tissue that connect the bones of the skull. The sutures are anatomical lines where the bone plates of the skull joined together can be easily felt in a newborn infant.
Oh.
So when you're looking at a skull and it's got those squiggly lines,
Mhm.
that's what those are.
How cool.
And according to ScienceDirect.com, it is well known that sutures between cranial bones ossify at different times during life. The sphenooccipital suture on the skull base is particularly useful for aging young adults, as fusion is completed in 95% of individuals between 20 and 25 years.
Wow. Because, yeah, is that why, like, babies have, like, that soft spot?
Yeah.
Okay.
So with the cranial sutures being closed,
No.
and the wear of the teeth told the researchers that she's probably in her mid-20s.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And the pelvic bone had a very specific type of groove that is typically present if a woman has given birth to at least 2 children.
What?
Yeah, I know.
That is so cool.
I know.
I would love to go study this.
Right. While this information provided investigators with a better picture of the victim, they still didn't know who she was.
Well, yeah.
The anthropologist at Colorado State created a facial reconstruction of the victim, which investigators sent to local media outlets. 3 days later, okay, this is how the guy said her name on Forensic Files.
Okay. Kenzie.
I know. 3 days later.
She is a victim, Mackenzie.
She's not a victim, she's just a friend.
Oh, okay.
Okay. 3 days later, Wheelie Porn Cox.
That's not real.
That is how he said her name on the fucking episode. I wrote it phonetically.
No.
It's okay, I call her Mrs. Cox from now on, so it's fine.
Oh, no.
I mean, in her name, their porn is in there.
Oh,
The first part doesn't look like Wheelie, but
Why? Is that like her middle name? Porn?
no, it's all one word.
Ely porn.
Wheelie Porn Cox.
Wheelie porn.
Wheelie Porn Cox.
Why in the world would your... Oh.
Because she's not from here.
Okay. I'm not trying to make fun, but oh my god, here is so not bad. Or so not good.
Especially with Cox.
Right? No, exactly. If it was just like wheelie porn, that'd be fine. Ish.
Yeah.
But that... Oh gosh. Okay.
So, if that's incorrect, you can blame the guy in Forensic Files.
Yeah, we're just following Forensic Files.
Exactly. And there was no, like, media of this, except for in a newspaper, and that's not going to help. So anyway, so she was watching the news when she saw
Wheelie porn cocks?
Yep. God, we're such dicks. Was watching the news when she saw the segment about police trying to identify the skeletal remains and thought she recognized the woman shown in the photograph. She called her husband, and when he saw it, he agreed that it looked like someone they knew. They believed it was their 33-year-old friend, Bunchee Nyhuis. The Coxes said that they hadn't heard or seen Bunchee in close to 5 years since she had moved back home to Thailand. Or so they thought. Since this was the time before DNA, investigators needed to find a way to confirm that the remains did in fact belong to Bunchee Nyhuis. When they contacted her husband, Richard, he didn't believe that the remains belonged to his wife. He told investigators that she had left him in December of 1983, and he said he had last seen his wife when he dropped her off at the airport.
And this is 87?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Nyhuis claimed that he had no idea where his wife could be found and that he knew of no surviving relatives in her native Thailand.
Oh, okay.
Investigators called upon forensic anthropologists to help to use a technique called skull photograph superimposition. Police obtained a photograph of Bunchee from her husband and sent the photograph to the Colorado State Anthropology Department. And they included a photo of an Asian woman who had been reported missing in Georgia, so 2 different people.
Mm-hmm.
The analysis was done by world-renowned forensic anthropologist Dr. Michael Charney. Dr. Charney positioned the skull in the same pose as the photographs of each woman and then superimposed the slides of the skull over the photographs. The skull did not match the woman from Georgia, but it did match the photo of Bunchee Nyhuis perfectly. The skull fit within the frame of the head of the photo, so when you're looking at it, like the top of the skull hit the hairline, and like her chin was within the jawline of the photo.
Oh, okay.
And they said that the teeth also matched up.
Oh, interesting.
When you look at it, like on the episode, you can see, like they really did position the jaw the right way because her mouth is open, and you can see it. It looked like it fits on her face.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Friends and neighbors said that she had been wanting to go home and miss Thailand. Muriel Higgins, who's a neighbor, she said, quote, I knew she told me she had gotten her passport. She had gotten her citizenship and her passport. Now, this next part, I heard it would have surprised me if she had done that. The subtitles on Forensic Files said wouldn't.
Okay.
Because I thought would have, because I was like, oh, if she got her citizenship and her passport, why the fuck would she go back? That was hard as hell.
Wait, she got her citizenship and passport from here?
It didn't say. That's all she said. And I assumed that it meant citizenship and passport for the United States because she would have already had that for Thailand.
Right.
So if she worked to get that, it would have been surprising that she left. So I heard it would have surprised me, meaning the neighbor was surprised if she would have left because she just got all these things.
Right.
But the subtitle says wouldn't. I think it would have surprised the neighbor if she left.
Okay, going off of this, people, if you watch things with subtitles, let us know. Mackenzie is very pro-subtitle, and I'm very anti-subtitle. So we're just curious what you think.
I can't understand people without subtitles.
See, but this subtitle is leading you astray.
Well, I was also really paying attention because I was writing down notes.
Right, but still.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I would be surprised if someone went through the hassle of getting both of those things, because to get citizenship in the United States, you have to take a test.
Right.
You have to do, it's a process.
Yes.
It's a big process.
And if she just got that and her passport, no way in hell is she leaving.
But I could see her going back to visit.
But you wouldn't need citizenship in order to come back to America to visit.
No, I know.
You would just need a fucking passport from Thailand.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Anyway, so Mrs. Cox, the friend, said, quote, she mentioned to me, she's not happy. She'd like to go to Thailand, visit family. Investigators didn't understand why her family in Thailand hadn't reported her missing and wondered if she would have really up and left her 2 children and never speak to them again. Friends and neighbors also told investigators Bunchee and Richard had a volatile relationship, and they argued quite a bit. Richard was a Boy Scout leader and often camped at the ranch where the remains had been found.
Oh.
When he was confronted with this information, meaning the matching of the picture and all the other evidence they found, he was vacationing with his sons at the Boy Scout ranch where the skeleton was discovered, which is fucking creepy. The highway patrol questioned Nyhuis extensively about his wife's disappearance. Nyhuis related varying accounts of the events surrounding her disappearance. His final videotaped confession revealed that Nyhuis and his wife had been fighting about a new house that the wife had wanted to build, and Nyhuis did not think that they could afford it.
Okay.
They were in the basement of their home at the time. At some point, his wife threatened to disappear with their 2 sons in Thailand if she didn't get what she wanted.
Oh, okay.
As his wife became more angry, Nyhuis got up to leave the room. His wife lunged at Nyhuis and was scratching his face and biting him. Nyhuis pushed her back. She fell and hit her head on the base of the steel support post. After his wife fell, and she lay on the floor bleeding badly, screaming for a doctor, instead of summoning help, Nyhuis placed his hand over her mouth and nose and suffocated her. He literally said to police, quote, I put my hands over her mouth and her nose and suffocated her.
Oh, he said this.
He said it.
Because I was about to think, how do we know? But okay.
Oh, no, we're about to get into it.
Oh, my gosh.
So forensic pathologist Dr. Mary Case examined the skull, and she concluded that the injury on the back of the skull would have had to have been caused by a tool like a hammer, not just a fall. Prosecutors believe that Richard and Bunchee were arguing one night in the basement of their home. Bunchee did want to move into a new house, Richard refusing, saying they couldn't afford it, Bunchee threatening to leave and take the 2 boys, and in a moment of rage, he hit her on the head with the tool, with the blunt tool. Hadn't been a fatal injury, but she was bleeding on the floor, and Richard decided to suffocate her.
Mm-hmm.
When Nyhuis failed to find a pulse or heartbeat, he placed a plastic bag over his wife's head to contain the bleeding, wrapped her in a sheet of plastic, and locked her in their deep freezer for 3 months.
Oh my God.
The next morning, he called his employer to tell him that his wife had left him and that he needed to make arrangements for childcare.
Oh my God. And how old are the kids again?
So they don't really talk about them all that much. I'm not really sure.
Because my thought is like, okay, if she's in the deep freezer, like
I think they were little. I think they were younger when she left.
Mm-hmm.
But I think by this point, they're older.
Just because, like, I can't picture, like, I mean, there were multiple times my parents were like, oh, can you go to the fridge and get this? Oh, can you go to the freezer and get this? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I think at this time, the boys were, like, maybe late elementary school.
Okay, so they're not grabbing things for dinner or stuff.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Nyhuis,
How traumatizing for the children when they find all this out.
Nyhuis waited until March when the ground had softened to drive the body the 2 hours to the Boy Scout ranch and buried his wife in a secluded area. Nyhuis used the lime to help with the decomposition, but the grave was only 2 feet deep, which was not deep enough to keep animals from bringing her to the surface.
Yeah, duh.
Nyhuis thought the remains would never be discovered, and if they were, never identified.
Idiot.
The state's expert witness, Dr. Mary Case, pathologist and chief medical examiner for St. Charles County, examined the wife's skull following the discovery of her remains. Oh, wait, I said that part. Oh, this goes into more detail. Sorry. It's talking about the thing she found. So she found a small depressed fracture in the left parietal area of the skull. The inside of the skull revealed a slightly larger area where the external fracture had been pushed inside.
Oh.
Dr. Case determined that the injury occurred prior to Bunchee's death and that it had been caused by a small blunt instrument striking the skull. Mm-hmm. She believed that because Bunchee's injury covered a very small area, it could not have been caused by the fall described by Nyhuis. Dr. Case further stated that if the wound was left untreated, it could only have caused the victim's death if medical attention was not properly sought. Mm-hmm. She opined that the victim could have eventually died from suffocation or some other act that was no longer apparent because of the remains' decomposition.
Right.
She testified that it would take approximately 1 minute of oxygen deprivation to render a person unconscious, an additional 3 minutes of deprivation to suffocate that person.
Wow.
So it takes about 45 minutes.
Because I've heard that, like, suffocation is, like...
It takes a minute.
It's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
Like, you see in TV shows where they suffocate the person's dead.
It's like 30 seconds. It's like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, which... Sometimes 5 minutes is a long-ass time. Think of, like, 5 microwave minutes, and that's like how long it is.
Mackenzie and I made mac and cheese today, and it took 3.5 minutes, and she goes, God, these are the longest 3.5 minutes.
Treadmill and microwave minutes are just...
Yes,
slower.
They're obnoxiously long, and they are definitely slower than normal minutes.
They're not 60 seconds.
But on the treadmill, they're like, okay, a minute all out. I'm like, oh my God, this is the longest fucking thing I've ever done. Or like even just a 30-second plank. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. Dr. Case believed that Bunchee was most likely only unconscious when Nyhuis put her in the freezer, not dead.
No.
So Richard Nyhuis went to trial for the murder of his wife in 1992. The defense countered that Richard Nyhuis was a peaceful man who fell prey to his wife's volatile nature.
Yuck.
His lawyer alleged that he pushed the 5-foot-tall wife in self-defense after she demanded that they build a bigger house, which they couldn't afford, and threatened to leave him and take their 2 little sons to Thailand. So they're young.
Yeah.
And then come at him with hands and fingernails raised, which is what the St. Louis Post-Dispatch reported on November 24th,
Oh.
1992.
You could have done this one for your birthday episode.
I wasn't alive. Technically, I wasn't alive for the other one either.
You weren't alive for mine either. No, were you?
No, it was like the 30s.
Well, yours. The one I did for your birthday wasn't in the 30s.
I was like 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of birthday episodes, you're going to have to come up with something soon.
I know.
Okay.
If you have any good ideas, let us know.
She can never decide fucking anything for a
No, I know, but if someone says something that I didn't think, I could be like, ooh, that would be fun to hear about. I'll have ideas too.
He also alleged that she bit him.
Okay.
The jury of 7 men and 5 women convicted Richard Nyhuis of first-degree murder, and he was sentenced to life in jail without the possibility of parole for 50 years. So, on a blog that talks about Forensic Files episodes, there were comments left by people about this case.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly general opinions about whether or not they agreed with the outcome of the court trial.
Right.
One person named Sean commented, quote, I grew up spending many days in that house. Bunchee actually went by the name of Anne. I never heard that name till the trial. I saw many times when her rage caused me real fear. Rich was someone I could look up to as a child and still think the events that unfolded were not intended but a result of a violent argument that ended with some bad decisions.
Interesting.
Many of the other commenters disagreed with what Sean had to say and kindly told him so. But someone named Larry was on Sean's side, saying, quote, I agree with Sean on his observations. I also spent a lot of time with Rich and his two sons over my middle and high school years as we grew up together.
Him and the sons or him and Rich?
The sons and Richard. I think this guy was friends with the sons and therefore the dad.
So he hung out with Richard after the wife died. Because if the sons were little, he wouldn't have spent much time there when he was little.
Correct. When I say little, I don't think it was like 2 or 3.
So like 6 or 7 little?
I think like 9 or 10 little.
Oh, okay.
Because what I end up finding later about one of the sons was that he was in high school by 1990, and that's 3 years after this trial.
Oh, okay. So old enough to have friends who are going to remember.
Yeah.
Okay,
So, like,
okay. I don't know why I had the kids in my brain as like 5 or 6.
Well, it's kind of confusing because she disappeared or she left in 1983.
Mm-hmm.
They found her in 1987.
Right.
So when she was missing,
Mm-hmm.
the kids were probably like 10 at the time.
Yeah, but so then if he's hanging out with the kids, the dad and the mom.
He's not. That's not what he's saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's saying he hung out with them in middle school and high school, so like later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
okay.
no, you're fine. I was involved in the scouting program at the time. The father was a good role model, and I learned a great deal from him. He dedicated a lot of his personal time not only to his family but others in the community to ensure they grew up with a good value system and exposing us to new interests and skills. He's one of the reasons I went to college to major in engineering. Rich was a gentle and patient man. I have to think that what occurred was either an accident or spontaneous act brought on by a violent argument. There is no way what occurred was premeditated. I wish Rich, that's hard, and his sons my best and hope they can find peace in their lives.
Okay.
So this one sounded a little bit more legit because I think this guy was like around after she left.
Yeah.
The other guy, it sounds like maybe he was there, but he would have been way younger because by the time she left.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how can you know what they were like when you're that young?
Yeah.
And if you're older, that's weird that you're hanging out with young kids.
Right. So I think the Sean one is a little bit more sus than Larry.
Yeah, that's how it's sounding.
Yeah. Some annoying person named Marcus would take the time to argue with these commenters. He did make some good points, but he's annoying and probably racist, so we aren't going to go over what he said. Because in one of them, he made an unnecessary comment, and people were like, rightfully so, like, why the fuck did you say that? That was unnecessary.
Right.
And he doesn't say anything. It wasn't until these other people are like coming in being like, I knew them. And he's like, well, actually, I don't think you did. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know.
We don't have time for racism in 2024.
No, I don't know who this Marcus guy is, but he was fucking annoying.
Okay, no to Marcus.
Yeah. So the last comment on the Nyhuis case was posted by someone named Chris Jones. And this was like 2022. And he said, quote, I knew the family well. I was friends with Michael and was in the Scouts. Spent a lot of time at their home. This was after the mother had left. Richard was my scoutmaster. While I never would have thought he had killed his wife, he definitely had a hard side. His temper could flare suddenly. They raised ferrets. It was so fucking random.
That's so random.
And I remember once Michael forgot to clean the cages or something like that. Richard went from 0 to 60 pretty quick. I still remember finding out about the whole situation. We had a tight group of friends, and sadly, we never saw Michael after that.
Oh.
Some other smart person made the observation as well that a lot of times when the victim is a foreigner, the public tends to side with the accused. So.
I can't say that's shocking in the least.
Right. In 1995, Richard appealed his case to the Missouri Court of Appeals on 3 points.
Okay.
First one. The defendant claims the trial court committed plain error when it admitted into evidence the skull, jaw, and various bones of his wife and erred in failing to declare a mistrial in response to the state's display of the wife's skull and skeletal remains.
That's stupid.
Because he never objected to the evidence being admitted during the trial, the court reviewed this first point for plain error and would only grant appeal if the error, quote, so substantially affects the defendant's rights that a manifest injustice or miscarriage of justice occurs if left uncorrected.
But, like, wouldn't that be something that you would admit into evidence anyways?
Shh.
Okay.
The court decided that the state used the remains to demonstrate how Bunchee was identified, the cause of death, and the nature of the wound.
Duh.
These were some of the points being disputed by the defense, and therefore the bones helped to illuminate these issues and were necessary.
Duh.
The appeals judge decided, quote, the trial court did not abuse its discretion in admitting the skeletal remains.
Yeah, that's what you need for evidence. Because otherwise the defense could say something like, well, you don't have any proof.
So, 1.2, 1A, whatever. Nyhuis was also saying that there should have been a mistrial because, quote, the defendant argues the trial court erred in failing to declare a mistrial upon his request because the repeated display was ostracized to inflame the passions and prejudices of the jury. So he felt like they were flaunting the remains to, like, yeah, I don't know.
No.
The case details / documents state that the declaration of a mistrial should only be used in extraordinary circumstances and that the trial court, aka the judge, is in the best position to evaluate if such circumstances exist. So in response to this, the appeals court said, quote, the record demonstrates that when the prosecutor brought the skull out in conjunction with a witness's testimony, he or the witness would temporarily set it down. Defendant would object, sidebar, to its placement. The trial court would sustain the objection and direct the prosecutor to return the skull to the table holding other evidence after he was done using it with the witness. In each case, the defendant was granted the relief that he was requested. The trial court took great pains of sustaining the defendant's objections to limit any undue prejudicial effect the skeletal remains had. We find no abuse of discretion. Defendant's first point is denied.
Good.
Rule number 2.
I knew it. I knew it.
You can't bring people back from the dead.
Too fitting, Mackenzie.
Well. So, point 2, the defendant challenges the sufficiency of the evidence. He argues that the state did not prove wife's death was not a result of accident or misfortune. Mm-hmm. So, in State versus Grimm, don't know who that is or what it's about.
Yep.
Just wrote it down.
They have it all the time. I skip those every time I read court documents.
Yes. It was determined that when considering whether the evidence is sufficient to support the jury's verdict, quote, we must look to the elements of the crime and consider each in turn. The state defines capital murder as, quote, any person who unlawfully, willfully, knowingly, deliberately, and with premeditation kills or causes the killing of another human being is guilty of the offense of capital murder.
Duh.
So the appeals court was deciding if the murder was done with deliberation.
Okay.
They defined deliberation as, quote, it must be done in a cool and deliberate state of mind, meaning a deliberate act has been defined as a free act of will and not while under the influence of a violent or sudden passion aroused by provocation.
Interesting.
The court used the ruling from a different case, State versus Branch, to decide if Nyhuis killed his wife deliberately.
I'd say putting a hand over a mouth is pretty deliberate.
The court said that Nyhuis and his wife argued throughout the day and that their marriage had been deteriorating to the point where Bunchee had threatened to leave and take their 2 sons to Thailand. Nyhuis lied to police about what happened and attempted to conceal the crime. Nyhuis had stored Bunchee's body in a locked freezer for 3 months until the ground thawed, buried her in a remote area, and then used lime to speed up decomposition.
Yeah.
And instead of calling for help, he covered her mouth and nose until he couldn't feel a pulse.
Yep.
Additionally, at the trial, an expert had testified it would take about 4 to 5 minutes of oxygen deprivation to suffocate a person and about a minute for them to lose consciousness. This would have given Nyhuis sufficient time to cool off and reflect on what he was doing after his wife is unconscious.
Yep, because you have to hold it there. It's not just like a quick, like...
And she's hitting you.
And not saying a gunshot is any better, but a gunshot is 1 second, and then it's done.
Correct.
But
you
something
can call
like...
that a crime of passion.
Yes, but
and
something
had he
like
just
this...
hit her,
right.
Crime of passion.
Right.
But then you took that extra step of making sure she was dead.
Or at least as much dead as you thought she was. And then taking the extra step of putting her in the the freezer. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, drink your wine.
The court also stated, quote, even assuming, as defense counsel argues, the defendant removed his hand before his wife expired, the defendant still did not call for assistance, but rather let her die, wrapping her in plastic and locking her in a deep freezer.
Yep.
These facts and the reasonable inferences therefrom are sufficient to establish that the defendant killed wife after deliberation. Defendant's second point is denied. Number 3. The defendant contends the trial court erred in precluding him from presenting evidence of his wife's specific act of violence against the defendant's and wife's children.
Oh.
The court says where justification is an issue in a criminal case, the defendant can introduce evidence of the victim's prior specific acts of violence that the defense knew about. However, the violent acts must be reasonably related to the crime that the defendant has been charged with. So the court says that the defendant has to, 1, before such evidence can be admitted, the defendant must lay proper foundation. 2, other competent evidence must raise the issue of self-defense. 3, the defendant must demonstrate that he was aware of the specific act or acts of violence. And 4, the incidents must not be too remote in time and must be of quality as to be capable of contributing to the defendant's fear of the victim.
Okay.
The appeals court found that during the direct examination, that's what they said, Nyhuis had testified about specific acts of violence he had observed his wife commit against their sons. The judge allowed this testimony despite the state's objection that the foundation, in agreement with Waller, whoever the fuck that is, was lacking. But when Nyhuis was cross-examined, he said that he had not feared his wife when she lunged at him because of anything she had done with the boys.
Oh my God.
It was after that admission that the court decided any further testimony about the victim's acts against the children was now inadmissible under Waller because, quote, by the defendant's own admission were not of a quality such as to be capable of contributing to the defendant's fear of the victim.
And, like, the thing is, too, it's like now there are 4 people involved in a situation like this.
Yeah.
1 can't talk.
Correct.
And 1 is trying to defend himself.
Correct.
So, of course, he's going to say, like, oh, she hurt the boys, blah, blah, blah. And then the boys, like, as much as you want to trust them, they can't be trusted because now they're going to listen to their dad saying, oh, if they ask you, you have to, you know, like, it's just, it's not fair.
Correct. And he also then said he wasn't afraid of her.
Right.
So regardless of whatever those violent acts was, even if she was, let's say, abusive to the children, it has nothing to do with him killing her, so it's irrelevant.
Right, exactly.
So you can't use it as an excuse for why he did it. The appeals court decided the trial court did not abuse its discretion in preventing the defendant from providing testimony from his sons, which was decided irrelevant to his claim of justification, and his third point was denied. The appeals court concluded, quote, we have reviewed the defendant's remaining points on his direct appeal and find that no jurisprudential purpose would be served by a written opinion and the points are denied. And, quote, the defendant's judgment of conviction is affirmed.
Good.
So, sucks to suck.
Right.
So, Rebecca Reisner, she's the one who runs the blog about forensic files. It's called forensicfilesnow.com. And she actually did some research on the Nyhuis family since most of what was publicized was just about the investigation and the trial. So here's some of what she found. Bunchee was born in Conbury, Thailand around 1950. She moved to the United States when she met Richard while he was serving in the Air Force in the early 1970s. Richard Nyhuis came from a normal family background and was from Kankakee, Illinois.
Illinois. Mackenzie.
Lauren. Don't put a fucking S.
Don't put a K in the beginning of your last name.
I didn't do that. And you don't pronounce it.
Exactly.
Whatever. It's just the one I'm always going to fuck up.
All right, so Illinois.
Illinois. That's where he's from. He was born around 1946 to a dad who ran an office supply business for about 30 years and a mom who was a secretary for the family's church. And according to his mother's obituary in 2016, Richard also had 2 sisters, Catherine Siegel and Ann Johnson. Richard became an electrician for McDonnell Douglas. Richard and Bunchee had 2 sons together, Steve and Michael. Rebecca reported that Richard did a decent job raising his sons between Bunchee's murder and his arrest. She found that Stephen was on the honor roll in high school in 1990 and had a successful career in the military. I think he was the older one. But
real quick, Catherine Siegel is actually the name of one of, like, Kate Siegel is what she goes by. One of, like, the actors who I think is the most beautiful person. Like, look up Kate Siegel. I think she is gorgeous. Like, I think she is just so pretty. And so when you said that, I was like, wait.
Oh, yeah. She kind of looks like Angelina Jolie.
She's beautiful. And she's in, like The Haunting of Hill House and The Fall of House of Usher, like those movies.
It's good, though, because she was born in Silver Spring, Maryland, so we know it's not her.
Good. But yeah, when you said that, I was like, wait, I know that name.
Yeah, no. And her parents' names were Paul and Laura, so we're good.
Okay, good. Because I was like, wait. There's no way we're skipping over the fact that he has a very famous sister.
I don't think it's the same person.
Oh, she's just so freaking pretty.
So Stephen had a successful career in the military, and his brother Michael, all she wrote was he became a woodworker and is married.
Okay.
So today, Richard Nyhuis resides in Potosi Correctional Center in Mineral Point. The prison houses death row inmates and has accommodations ranging from minimum to maximum security. The Missouri Department of Correction website describes Nyhuis as 5'8" and 180 pounds. Big man.
That's not that big.
Yeah, but he's 5'8".
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. He will be 96 when he's eligible for parole. And
Dang.
that is the story of Richard and Bunchee Nyhuis.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you had her name on the spreadsheet, I did not know what we were about to talk about. And so I was not prepared for murder.
Her name, when you look at it, sounds like it could be the name of like a mystical creature.
Yeah.
So that's understandable.
It's also just so shocking that he straight up told the investigators, like, oh yeah, I killed her.
So I was like, there was definitely like something in between. Because when they first went to him, he was like, no, that can't be my wife.
Mm-hmm.
I dropped her off at the airport. Like, that can't be her.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, okay, we got to prove it's her.
Right.
They go back, they do that.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, when they confront him with said evidence.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Which, like, they said when they confronted him with the evidence as if it was like, hey, we have this evidence against you that clearly shows you did it. I was like, I'm not sure that he did it. It just shows that his wife.
Right.
And he caved. Probably, had he just kept his mouth shut,
Yeah.
would 100% have gotten away with it.
Potentially. I mean, nowadays, DNA and all that stuff is a lot better. So I wonder if, like, at the time they kept something. You know how they always sometimes keep something.
So when I was reading this stuff about, like...
But actually, it would be hard because it's the husband. So, like, I'm sure your husband, like, Joe's, like, DNA or whatever is probably all over the things I own.
Well, and it's been 5 years, and if
Right.
she left him, he probably, in a fit of rage, got rid of all her shit.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Probably didn't he wasn't heartbroken
Right.
and kept her stuff. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad he's in jail.
Me too. I have to go potty, so we gotta pause this.
All right, well, good episode. Good case.
Thanks.
So we had to take a little break because, one, we always take a break after the episodes.
We always have a snack.
We always have a snack. So we were drinking wine because it's a snow day. Mackenzie knocks the whole frickin' glass of her wine all over the table.
Not the whole thing. I picked it up and there was still some left.
Which she proceeded to chug before we filled them again.
Exactly.
So you have an update?
I do. I have a DB Cooper update.
Oh.
So not one of our cases, but
Which is actually shocking because DB Cooper is so old.
hence why I thought it was going to be pretty interesting to bring up.
Yes, okay, I'm excited. Tell me.
So, all know the story. This guy hijacks a plane, says he wants $200,000. They give it to him. He jumps out, never seen again, don't know who it is.
Yep.
So, one of the investigators, let's see, is he current? No, he's not. He's just an investigator.
Okay.
He's not like an official one, because it says he's from History's Great Mysteries.
Oh.
So, but what he did is he took some microscopic analysis of the tie to see different
Like a tie on your body?
like a tie because I think he left it behind.
On the plane?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
So they believe that it was purchased at JCPenney around Christmas time in 1964 for $1.49.
Wow.
Yeah.
The price of ties has exploded.
So they pull off some particles and they found more than 100,000 different particles from the clothing.
Oh my gosh.
They apply modern technology. And he said that they were able to trace 3 of the fragments, which were made partly of stainless steel and titanium that was found on the tie. Using U.S. patents, led the investigator to a Pennsylvania plant called Crucible Steel.
Okay.
He described the company as a sufficient subcontractor all throughout the 1960s that supplied the lion's share of titanium and stainless steel for Boeing aircraft. So this guy told Fox News that if Cooper worked at Crucible Steel, he would have had extensive knowledge of the plane he hijacked, a Boeing 727 aircraft, along with the knowledge of the Seattle location where Crucible Steel workers often traveled for business, as Boeing was their contractor.
Oh.
He also said that Boeing had a significant downturn in 1971 when the hijacking occurred, and that, quote, it's reasonable to deduce that D.B. Cooper may well have been part of that downturn.
Wow.
So he believes that the findings point to the company's titanium research engineer, Vince Preston, who died in 2002, as the possible identity of Cooper.
Oh my gosh.
And the investigator says that he can put him in Seattle and he can put him at Boeing. He's a compelling person of interest. However, he also added that he isn't crossing off any suspects until he can fully solidify his findings. As for now, he said that he's going to continue to dig into Peterson's history.
So is Peterson dead?
Yeah, Peterson's long gone.
Oh,
2002.
bummer.
Yeah.
Well, dang, that's really interesting.
Yeah, so possible identification. Seems like they're narrowing it down.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which,
I'm happy to know there's movement in this case.
and part of what I think I gathered from it was like, oh, it would make sense if he's going to hijack a plane, he knows the ins and outs of it.
Right. Yeah, you're going to
and
hijack
how
a
it
plane that
works.
you know that you can open in the middle of, like, the air.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wow.
So it's intriguing.
That is very intriguing.
Yes.
Well, we'll keep you updated if we have any more updates.
Yeah. Anytime I'm telling you, after I signed up for, I don't normally like the crazy, emails that you get from things, but I signed up for people's true crime.
Oh.
So that's why I get these things.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll keep updating on some fun stuff.
Yeah. All right, Lauren, what tea you pouring?
All right, so I'm going to talk about the Lemp Mansion and the Lemp Caverns.
Lemp?
Mm-hmm.
L-E-M-P?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So not many people may know this, but St. Louis has always been a beer town.
I could see that.
1854 was known as, quote, the year the beer ran out, because the residents literally drank it all.
What year was this?
1854.
Okay, so long before Prohibition.
Long, long ago. In its heyday,
Mm-hmm.
St. Louis's top lager was the Falstaff beer
Okay.
from the Lemp Brewery.
And you saw?
A street called Falstaff.
Oh,
Yeah,
there you go.
and that was cool.
Come full circle.
So the Lemp name was proudly displayed at the top of their highest tower, which was their brewery.
Lemp.
It literally said Lemp.
I thought you said lump.
No, that wouldn't make any sense.
I know, that's why it was like, I'm trying to correct myself before we get too far into the story.
So who were the Lemps?
Who were they?
In 1836, Johann Adam Lemp, a German immigrant, arrived in America from Eschwege, Germany, and in 1838 he settled in St. Louis. He started a grocery store called A. Lemp & Co., but it was around 1840 that he started to focus more on the manufacture and sale of beer, abandoning the grocery store and establishing the Western Brewery at 37 South 2nd Street.
Okay.
And Lemp started brewing his own beer. His beer was actually among the first German lagers produced in the U.S.,
Oh.
and it became a hit in town, especially with the large German population in the area.
Makes sense.
It even won first place at the annual St. Louis Fair.
Ah.
His business was growing and expanding, one of the most successful at the time, and Lemp needed more storage space for all of his supplies, so he followed what the 40 other breweries in the area were doing and started to use the Cherokee Cave system along the Mississippi as a natural refrigerator.
Oh my God.
He what?
Oh. So they take their land and they take their refrigeration system.
They're caves, yes.
Their caves.
Yeah.
Damn. Like smart, but like damn.
Yep. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Sadly, in 1862, Lemp passed away, and his son William Lemp took over the Western Brewery. By 1864, William had transformed his father's brewery. It was now the largest in St. Louis and quickly became the largest outside of New York with a single owner.
Ooh.
So it's like a big deal.
Yeah.
It sat on 13.7 acres and had 27 freestanding buildings. This is where he and his wife Julia lived, in a brick mansion that Julia's father had built for them nearby the brewery.
Nice.
William immediately got to renovating it and expanded it to be a 33-room Victorian house.
Could you imagine?
No.
No.
Oh.
How fucking pissed is that dad that he spends all this time building them this house and he's like, I'm going to renovate it.
I mean, he might be okay with it.
Imagine if Michael built you a house. He would be pissed.
Well, he would.
Yeah.
Or he'd be like, look at that structure. Look at how it's holding up in the renovations. I can see that more than anything else.
What do you mean you want to renovate?
Right. So he and his family lived in this now mansion with their 8 children. Anna, Billy, Louis.
Do I have to remember these names?
Nope.
Thank God.
Charles, Frederick, Hilda, Edwin, and Elsa.
This sounds like the Von Trapp children.
In that order. Well, they're from Germany.
Well, they're from Austria, so.
Okay, well.
No, I'm saying in
okay.
agreement.
Oh, okay. So William was innovative and installed the first refrigeration machine in an American brewery in 1878 and eventually expanded that idea to refrigerated railway cars. This allowed Lemp beer to be sold nationwide.
So I was about to ask, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but was that like the first refrigerator?
I don't know if it was the first refrigerator, but it was the first one ever used in an American brewery.
But then he created
Yeah, I think he eventually expanded to the idea of refrigerated railway cars.
which probably helped do refrigerated trucks.
Yeah. It probably, a lot of things probably expanded off of that.
Interessante.
So at this time, Lemp Brewery was ranked 19th in the country for distribution reach, size, and success. Anheuser-Busch, another St. Louis-based brewery, ranked 32nd.
Okay, so I was about to fucking ask.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, is he like the OG, like Bush, whatever the fuck?
Yep, nope, that was another one. They were like friends, but they were ranked 32nd and he was ranked 19th. Yeah, I know.
La-di-da.
I know. After being ever business-minded and innovative, William Lemp built tunnels that connected his house to the brewery via those caves that were used for refrigeration.
Genius.
I know.
Then you don't have to ever go outside.
I know. Ideal. In 1892, the Western Brewery, which was the brewery, soon became known as the William J. Lemp Brewing Company, with William as the president, his son William Billy Jr. as VP, and his other son Louis as superintendent. They were all college educated at the time and were trained in managing business and the whole beer brewing process.
All right.
He was hoping to train his son Frederick to one day take over the whole company.
William was hoping to do that, or the other guy?
William, so the dad,
Yeah.
was hoping to have his son Frederick one day take over the company. He had his one son and his other son as president and VP.
Yeah.
And superintendent or whatever, but he wanted his son Frederick one day to take it over completely.
Okay, but this is still dad. So
Yeah.
there's 3 brothers.
There's, 3 brothers. There's
Okay.
dad as president, son Billy as VP, son Louis as superintendent, and Frederick is just kind of learning the ropes to one day own it.
Okay, I wasn't sure if Frederick was junior son
No.
or senior son.
Yeah, he's senior son.
Yeah, okay.
Because Junior is his brother.
Correct. Okay,
Yep.
got it.
Good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know there's a lot of names. The family and the older boys all quickly became wealthy and powerful players in St. Louis society. Billy was active in the social scene and had a reputation of being a flamboyant playboy. Louis was an avid sportsman into horse breeding and racing. Everything was going well, the family was happy and successful until 1901 when Frederick, reportedly William's favorite son, started to have some health issues. He went to California for a time, hoping that the warm climate would help. After a few months and seeming like things were getting better, Frederick died of heart failure at the age of 28.
Oh my God. Younger than us.
I know. So in response, William had a huge mausoleum built for his son in Bellefontaine Cemetery. It ended up being the largest mausoleum in the cemetery. And following Frederick's death, William fell into a deep depression, losing interest in his business and in life in general. He would spend most of his time in the tunnels beneath his house in the brewery.
That's creepy.
Eventually, he just avoided the outside world altogether and would travel solely in the tunnels. Then in 1904, William's close friend and fellow brewer, Frederick Pabst, like Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Pabst.
This is him.
So
Pabst Brewing Company, and also not a great time to be named Frederick, but he passed away in 1904.
Oh, his name was Frederick.
Yep. So Frederick, his son passed away, then Frederick Pabst passed away, who was his best friend.
Aww.
Just a month after his passing on February 13th, Joe's birthday, 1904, William was eating breakfast with his family in the mansion when he calmly excused himself, returned to his bedroom, and shot himself in the head. Trigger warning, suicide.
Not that I told you after. Okay.
At the time, the brewery was valued at $6 million.
Damn!
And his personal assets were valued at $10 million.
And when was this? What year?
This was like 1904.
Oh,
I did not do the math conversion.
It
because
would have been insane.
the calculator I use only goes back to 1915. So I just didn't. Just a year later, his wife Julia would be diagnosed with cancer. In March of 1906, she died in that same bedroom.
Oh my God, this poor guy.
His oldest son, William, who was junior, immediately took over the brewery as president on November 7th, 1904, with his wife Lillian Handlin. Lillian was a society woman, a debutante, and was known as the Lavender Lady due to the many lavender horse-drawn carriages she owned. She even had custom lavender dresses to match. She was known to always be in a different lavender dress while out. That's all she wore. All pictures of her, she's in a lavender gown. Billy and Lillian had gotten married 5 years prior in 1899 and had been living at 3343 South 13th Street. They had their first son, William III,
Oh, Jesus.
on September 26, 1900. But the difference between Billy, so junior, and William senior, was that William Lemp enjoyed brewing beer and actually took great pride in it. His son Billy didn't care about that.
I feel like that happens.
He more so cared about the lifestyle that brewing beer afforded him.
Oh, I'm sure.
When fridges came out, he no longer needed the underground caves to store things, so he turned them into a swimming pool and a private theater.
Well,
This is where Billy would hold wild, booze-filled parties complete with, quote, prostitutes, and so on. And William was really about looks. He continuously wanted to show off his trophy wife and started demanding that Lillian spend her time shopping. Reportedly,
Twist my arm.
he would give her $1,000 a day, and he told her that she had to spend the entire amount or he wouldn't give her any more.
That's the best threat I've ever fucking heard.
I'd be like, damn, what can I spend? Ooh, I'd be getting massages every
I
day.
have to spend this?
Mhm.
Okay.
It'd be massages every day. I wonder how many lavender things they had for her to buy.
After a while, lavender would probably start to give me a headache.
But it's so pretty.
Yes, in doses. If it's my whole life.
She was known as the Lavender Lady. So it was her whole life.
She had to keep up that. She was like an influencer before that was
Right. A 1900s influencer.
Yes, with lavender.
So this lifestyle of his went on for years, but it all eventually caught up with him when William had a son with someone who wasn't Lillian. There were no official documentations that this boy existed.
Of course not.
Duh. But rumors swirled about it, and these rumors started to say that the boy was hidden away in the mansion's attic for his entire life.
That's how they become serial killers. Is they have a vendetta against their parents.
That doesn't happen in this case.
Oh.
So Joe Gibbons, a St. Louis historian, found that the boy did exist. He had been born with Down syndrome, and at the time, this was an embarrassment to the family. So he was, in fact...
That would have been that way at that time, regardless if he was legitimate or not.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. So he was hidden away in the attic. And so I hate this, but this was said in every single article I read. He became known to many as the monkey face boy.
Oh.
I know, because they didn't know what it was at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awful.
I mean, the things you could get sent to an asylum for is insane.
Well, so he wasn't. He was just hidden in their attic.
Yeah.
Which is...
Well, in the context of if you can send anybody for just about anything.
Right.
The way that they're going to look at anybody.
Oh, absolutely.
With any sort of disability of any kind is going to be terrible.
Yes. So their awful lifestyle of Billy partying and doing all the bad stuff went on for years until Lillian divorced Billy in 1908 in what turned into a nasty public trial.
Yes, girl.
And this trial completely took over all of the news outlets. There's this really well-to-do, influential family, and they're going through this divorce.
This is today.
Right.
This is the kind of shit we do today.
Absolutely.
That's so funny.
The courtrooms were packed each day during the trial. People were waiting outside of the courthouse to potentially be allowed in to watch this trial unfold.
Are you sure it's not like 2024?
Right.
That's insane.
I know.
Human nature does not change.
Literally never. So Billy's, quote, proclivities for pistols and prostitutes was aired out in court, as well as tales of violence, drunkenness, atheism.
Oh my God. He doesn't believe in God.
And cruelty. After atheism, I literally wrote gasp.
Pause for dramatic effect.
Yep. And Lillian's grounds for divorce were due to alleged desertion and cruel treatment, among many other complaints. William countered and accused Lillian of, quote, Victorian female infractions, to include
What the fuck does that even mean?
Using foul language, and constantly wearing lavender in public as a ploy for attention.
See, this is exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. Literally, men could just make shit up as they went along. He literally was like, you need to go out and shop more and show face and be the brand of lavender. But now I'm going to divorce you because of it.
Uh-huh. He also mentioned that one time she was smoking.
Fuck that guy.
The trial went on for only 11 days.
I smoke every time I have a cigarette. I mean...
I mean, that's an accurate statement.
I smoke every time I'm drunk. And then I want a cigarette.
There you go. You would have been showing Victorian female infractions.
Clearly.
Our whole podcast is Victorian female infractions.
Hell yeah.
So, trial went on for 11 days. In the end, Lillian was granted the divorce and custody of their only child, William III. Billy was only given visitation rights. By 1913, Lillian was awarded the largest monetary divorce settlement in the state history at the time, making her a very, very rich divorcee.
Hell yeah.
After the divorce, Billy moved into a country home called Allswell.
Not ends well, though.
ALSWEL. I don't think all's well for Billy.
All's well that ends well. Did you get it?
Oh, yeah. Oh. It overlooked the Merrimack River in what is now Sunset Hill, and by 1914, he was living there full-time. In 1915, he did remarry to Ellie Lindbergh, the widowed daughter of the late St. Louis brewer Caspar Kohler. I have nothing additional about that.
Coors?
Koehler.
Oh, no.
Caspar Kohler.
No.
Not
Definitely not
Coors
Coors
at all. Nope, didn't say that. But he wasn't the only Lemp who would face some marital issues. The youngest daughter of William, Elsa, had grown up and gotten married to a man named Thomas Wright in 1910. Thomas was the president of the Moore Jones Brass and Metal Company. But her marriage was rocky and abusive, with her neighbors constantly hearing her and her husband yelling at each other.
Jesus.
They could hear the screams and crashes coming from the couple's house. The couple separated in 1918, with Elsa filing for divorce in February of 1919, citing damage to her mental and physical health. The trial took place, and Elsa was granted the divorce, but later the two reconciled, and in March of 1920, they were remarried.
Good for them.
Is it good for them, though?
Well, it depends on how the second part goes.
Nah, you get your divorce, stay divorced. I'm sorry, but stay divorced.
Yes, normally I'm all about if you break up once, there was a reason.
Mm-hmm.
But I love a good love story.
Well, this isn't a good one.
Like, 5-year-old me would have loved my parents to get remarried. Now, I would rather die.
So we don't want these two to get back together.
Okay.
Because just later that same month, on March 20th, more tragedy struck the Lemp family when Elsa was found shot in her head one morning. Her husband quickly claimed it was suicide, just like her father.
Of course.
Though her friends suspected that that wasn't the case.
No.
And on a side note, it apparently took her husband 25 minutes after finding her for him to finally call a doctor. Suspicious. There is actually a lot that goes into this case, and there's a documentary coming out soon about, like, how her death wasn't a suicide and how, like, there's all these mysteries surrounding her death. I won't go into that because that's a whole separate story, not what this story is about. But so, yeah, there's, like, a lot of...
So after hearing this, we will have good, solid background knowledge to be prepared for that documentary.
For the documentary, yes.
Fantastic.
I forget what it was called, but there's a documentary.
Okay.
So when her brother Billy found out, he said, quote, "Well, that's the Lemp family for you." Because so far that is 2 who have shot themselves in the Lemp family. Shot themselves.
Okay.
That same year, Prohibition hit.
Ah.
The family business was tanking, with Billy trying to...
No shit.
Yeah, beerped. He was trying to scrape together any new business plans he possibly could. They even tried their hand and were successful in making a non-alcoholic beer. But it was still too much, and very abruptly and without any notice, he closed the building. The workers only found out that it was closed when they showed up for work and found the doors locked and the gates shut.
So fucked.
Yes.
That's like Willy Wonka.
Yeah, right? One day it closed down. He then auctioned it off for 8 cents on the dollar to the International Shoe Company for $588,000. This is a fraction of what it was estimated before Prohibition, which had been $7 million.
Damn!
The Falstaff trademark was also sold, but went to a friend of Billy's, Papa Joe Gryenstiuk, for only $25,000.
God bless.
Then 2 years later, on December 29th, 1922, Billy was eating breakfast with his family in the mansion when he calmly excused himself, returned to his bedroom, and shot himself in the head. So now we have 2 suicides in the same bedroom and 1 death in the family.
In that all the same bedroom? Because the mom died in there, right?
Oh, yep, mom died in there too. So we have 3 deaths in that bedroom, 2 suicides that were in that bedroom, and then the daughter died in her other house. So 4 Lemp family members so far.
Interesting.
With the house...
no, and Frederick, don't forget that one.
Right, and Frederick too. 5. So with the house being open again, another one of the children, Charles, moved in 1929. And
I'm sorry. Oh, you did name a lot of children, didn't you?
There were 8 of them.
I thought there was like 3.
Nope, there were 8 children.
So confused.
And there were 8 of them.
I'm like, who the fuck is this kid?
Who is this new character?
You're right. You named a lot of children.
Yep, they had 8.
You said I shouldn't remember it. I should have fucking remembered them.
You should have remembered there were many of them.
Yeah, I didn't. As soon as you said I didn't have to remember, I said, none of them matter.
In one ear, out the other. So he spent most of his time remodeling the mansion, where he lived with only 2 servants and his brother's illegitimate son. So it was around this time that that son died at the age of 30, reportedly in the room where he was locked up. One report said it was due to a gunshot. So now we have 6 family members. When Charles was living there, his nephew, William III, died of a heart attack at the age of 42.
Lordy!
Charles was often described as eccentric, but those eccentricities started to slowly morph into a very severe form of obsessive-compulsive disorder. And 20 years later, by 1949, he was a complete recluse. He also developed an intense fear of germs and started constantly wearing gloves and washing his hands. That same year, in 1949, on May 10th, Charles was found by one of his servants dead in his bed with a self-inflicted bullet wound to the head.
Okay, there are like a couple of stories I have heard periodically of, like, multiple family members in the
Mhm.
same family, like, all killing themselves the same way around the same time.
Yep.
Crazy.
So apparently, and this is awful, he had first shot his dog and then shot himself.
I never, ever would love a dead animal. Like, never. But I think it would be 10,000 times more heartbreaking if he was dead and the dog was sad.
No.
Like,
Which could be why he did it, because in this house it was him, his dog, and his 2 servants, and the son who eventually passed away, and that's it.
like I
Like, the
would
dog,
probably do that.
he is his dog's only person.
exactly.
You know? So Charles had left behind a note, and he was the only one who left behind a note. And it said, quote, "In case I am found dead, blame it on no one but me."
Mm.
So out of all 8 of the Lemp children, Edwin lived the longest, and he had faced maybe the most loss and tragedy. When his father had killed himself, he and Billy Jr. were the ones to discover the dad's body.
Oh my God.
He was the one to first arrive at Elsa's house on the day she died.
Sweet Jesus.
When Billy had killed himself, it was Edwin who showed up to make the funeral arrangements.
Oh, poor Edwin.
And when Charles killed himself, it was Edwin who fulfilled his brother's wishes to be cremated and buried in secret. So his brother actually had some very peculiar demands. He wanted his remains to be taken by ambulance to the Missouri crematory.
Which brother?
So Charles, the
Okay.
one who most recently lived in the house, died.
With the dog.
Yep.
Okay.
He asked-
These are his demands.
These are his demands, yes.
Got it. Okay.
He wanted his remains to be taken by ambulance to the Missouri crematory. He didn't want his body to be bathed, clothed, or changed.
Okay.
His ashes were to be put in a wicker box and buried in his farm.
Okay.
He wanted no funeral and no notice to be put out in the paper.
Interesting.
Yep. So all of this definitely, obviously took a toll on Edwin, as it would for anyone.
Yeah.
And in his old age, he grew more and more terrified of being alone, so much so that he hired a caretaker to stay with him at all times. In 1970, Edwin died of natural causes at the age of 90, but he made a final wish to that caretaker. He asked his caretaker to burn every piece of art in the house and all of the Lemp family papers and heirlooms.
Why?
I don't know, and no one knows why.
Did they do it?
The caretaker obliged, and almost everything was destroyed in the fire.
I would not have.
He just,
If I, especially like as a caretaker, I would become attached to said person that like I wouldn't necessarily give it to people, but for my own sentimental value, I would not be able to burn it.
right. The family's final resting place is at the Bellefontaine Cemetery. So what was interesting, I didn't include it in here, but I'll just mention it briefly. They believe they found a family member of the Lemps, some like long descendant. His stories don't always match up and his dates don't always match up. Apparently he's the son of someone who was born or who died 3 years before he was born. Like just all this weird stuff. But I bring that up because we believe that Edwin burned everything and doesn't have anything left of the family. But this guy came out of the woodwork and has all these weird things that the family technically owned. And he had a key to the mausoleum.
Oh,
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
people are on the fence of if he's real or not.
Yeah.
So no one knows. And it's just like this big
key to a coliseum.
mausoleum.
Mausoleum.
Whole damn coliseum.
Like goddamn.
But yeah, so
Intense.
so no one knows like if he's legit or not. But it's like been a big thing like in Missouri.
I feel like it's one of those things like when you have the key to a safety deposit box.
Right, exactly. The same exact thing. So today in all of our hauntings. So after the death of the Lemp family members, the house fell into disrepair and spent some time being used as a boarding house. This is when residents started complaining of ghostly knocks and footsteps being heard where there shouldn't be people.
House because has
What?
bad vibes.
Bad vibes.
Bad vibes.
There were reports of an inexplicable burning sensation, cold spots, mysterious sounds, and slamming doors. Tenants started to become harder to find because of all the weird stuff being heard in the house. So the property was used as apartments for some time, but the deterioration of the house continued. Then in 1975, the Pointer family purchased the property and started restoring the mansion to its former glory, with renovations starting almost immediately. Richard Porter wanted to turn the mansion into a restaurant and inn. But immediately upon starting renovations, Richard and his family began to experience some strange things. So there was one day when Richard was painting what had formerly been Billy's bathroom. So Billy is the junior.
Yes.
He said he was alone that day, the only person in the house painting the bathroom. He felt someone behind him just watching him. He said, quote, "It was a terrible feeling, the most burning sensation you could have." He quickly turned around and, of course, nothing was there. So he went back to painting and got that same intense feeling. So without looking behind him, he cleaned his paintbrushes and booked it out of there.
My kind of guy.
If I don't look, it's not there.
Same.
Richard had hired a local artist named Claude Breckwalt to restore the mansion's hand-painted ceilings.
didn't mean to that.
Breckwald had a similar feeling. He was up on the scaffolding, laying on his back, painting the ceiling in the dining room, when he got an intense feeling of someone staring at him. And keep in mind, Richard never told Claude about the feeling. So Claude said that he felt as if someone were in the hallway just outside the room, but because of the frosted glass doors, he couldn't see out. He said the feeling went away, so we went back to working, but an hour later, the feeling returned, but this time much stronger. He felt as if he had to leave immediately, so without cleaning his brushes or even locking up, he just left.
He said, fuck it.
He later said to Richard, quote, "That place is crazy. You must have a ghost in there or something." Then Richard's son, Dick, Richard and Dick, was sleeping alone at the house one night with his dog.
I would love to know who came up with that. Who decided?
What, the Dick is a nickname for Richard?
The Dick is a nickname for Richard. That Dick should be a name at all. Did Dick become a name before it was associated with a penis?
I heard a really funny joke. Someone goes, "How do you get Dick from Richard?" If you ask him nicely.
See? Chicken or the egg?
Right,
Which came
exactly.
first, Dick or penis Dick? Richard Dick or penis Dick? Which came first?
The world may never know.
Has to be Richard Dick. Because no way in hell. Well, that's not true. Men do stupid shit all the time. If anyone knows.
This is something we'll have to look up afterwards. So, Dick Jr. is in the house with his dog, a Doberman Pinscher named Shadow. He and Shadow were awoken by an extremely loud bang just outside of the bedroom door. He and his dog searched the entire house for what could have made that noise, and they found nothing. Well, since then, the mansion has been transformed into a bed and breakfast. Nice. Workers soon began talking about seeing apparitions, hearing strange sounds, feeling like they were being watched, and having various items and tools just disappear. They have also reported hearing voices and sounds, glasses moving on their own, even falling off of the bar, doors randomly locking and unlocking, lights flickering, and the piano playing on its own. On the night of the piano playing, 2 keys played. The employees who were closing up searched everywhere for what could have done it and found nothing. I don't think I would search.
Which 2 keys do you know?
No, I don't know what 2 keys. And even if they said it, it wouldn't make any sense to me, so I wouldn't have written down anyways.
To you.
Yeah, I wonder if it was like a happy like doo-doo, or if it was like da-da.
Yeah, is it like which side of the piano?
Are we on the happy side or the sad side?
Are we in the middle? Do we got like middle C? Are we going all the way down to the dark side, the light side? What are we doing?
I hope it was the dark side. No one wants to hear like happy keys played by some demonic thing
I
you can't
honestly
see.
feel like that would be creepier.
What, happy notes?
Yes.
Well, if it were happy notes, I feel like I would think like, oh, happy.
No, I would be fucking freaked the hell out. At least dark goes with dark, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm about to die. I got it. I understand.
Thanks for the heads up.
But you got light with dark, and I'm like, I'll probably be tortured before I go to bed. I mean, die.
I mean, both.
Whatever. Whatever the ghost decides. I don't know. I feel like positive is... It's like when you hear kids laughing.
That's true.
In most cases, hearing kids laughing should bring you joy.
It's very cute, but if it's at 3 a.m, it's terrifying.
But in certain circumstances, you fucking piss your pants if you heard them.
Ooh, speaking of, on Tuesday, I didn't have work because it was canceled, and Joe and Richie had to go to work. And so I was laying in bed, and I was, like, woken up by the sound of someone watching videos on their phone, like voices. And so I texted Joe, I was like, did your uncle stay home? Thinking, like, damn, he's ruining my whole day alone. And Joe was like, nah, he's with me. And I was like... So it just sounded like someone was scrolling through, like, Facebook, or I guess for you guys who have it, TikTok, and, like, voices were going off.
She says that as if none of the people her age have a TikTok, and I send her TikToks regularly, and she sends me really old TikToks because she sends me shit on fucking Facebook as if we're 85 years old. The only one I know, she tells me all the time, I'm in this Facebook group, I'm in this Facebook group. I'm like, you are 45 years old.
I know. I understand what is going on with my life.
And also, fuck you for telling me this story because I'm supposed to sleep at your house tonight.
In the room where I heard it from, too. I heard it coming from the living room.
Oh.
You're like, what?
That's where I thought I was sleeping, so I was confused.
Yeah. So, also with the hauntings here.
Yeah.
A candle sitting on the mantle has lit on its own. Dressers that had belonged to the Lemps will open.
Oh my God. You would have lost your shit.
What?
So, you know the lights that I have on my nightstands, you tap them?
Mm-hmm.
So, one of my nightstands can't fit on the other side because of how I rearranged my room. So I keep it next to the TV and I'll have it on as just like a little glow in the room. Well, I was moving shit around and it made the light go out. And so I was like, whatever, sit back in bed. A couple minutes later, light turns back on.
No.
And I was like, this is exactly what Lauren would say is Albert. And I said, no, because I didn't tap it. It just got knocked. So the circuit probably just reconnected. We're fine. I don't want to hear it. I'm telling you this story just as a sharing moment. I don't need feedback. Continue with yours.
So sounds of horse hooves can be hers that they're coming up the street.
Sounds of what?
Horse hooves. What did you think I said?
I have no idea.
You're like, I'm just going to let her keep going with this and not ask a single question.
I don't know what I heard, but it was not horse hooves. It was like, blah, blah. That's what I heard.
Horse hooves. So the Pointers have actually lost a good number of servers who have actually been too afraid of the hauntings to keep working.
Me.
Absolutely you. One former waitress, Bonnie Strayhorn, told her story saying, quote, early one morning, I was going through the house, making sure that everything was as it should be as the restaurant opened, when I noticed a dark-haired man seated at a table in what was originally the Lemp family dining room. He was facing away from me, so all I could see was the outline of his shoulders and head. I was surprised to see someone in the restaurant so early, but I asked him if he wanted a cup of coffee. He did not answer. When I looked away for a moment to flip the light on, I turned around and he had vanished. She quit her job that very day.
What was the video? Oh, there was like a TikTok recently that they were like, I don't know, panning around the room because they thought that something was haunted. And I was like, nope.
Yeah, no.
Because this is when something just goes,
yup. Oh, around Christmas time, there was this thing on Facebook. And it was like, it was a big Santa Claus. Like, he was like a giant and he was walking the streets. And it was actually very creepy. And then this girl's in her house, like freaking out. And she looks out the window and Santa like looks at her. And then it pans back to like her looking at something. And then the next scene you see is him on his hands and knees crawling at her. Oh my God. When I say like, I don't get scared very easily. That actually scared me. Like the jump scare from that. I was like, holy shit. Like it was actually a very scary little video. It lasted like 15 seconds. And then I, of course, went to the comments and people were like, oh my God, that terrified me.
It's like that video where they're just driving down that windy road and it just seems like a car driving around the windy road. And all of a sudden it's like, yeah!
Yeah.
That's what I think of every time I see those kinds of videos.
Yep. Okay, so in the Lemp Mansion, there are 3 main areas that are said to be the most active. The stairway, the attic, and the basement. Duh.
You know, that's interesting that it's not the room that everybody died in.
I do get to things there, but yeah, it's not the most active one.
Interesting. You gotta wonder then, is it just the basement and the attic? Because those in general are creepy as fuck.
Maybe. But then we have a stairway too. So the main stairway. People have reported seeing the Lemp family members just standing in the stairway or walking up and down the stairs. Orbs going up and down the stairs have been captured on video, and the feeling of being watched is especially strong here.
Mm-hmm.
The back stairway, the panting of a dog is often heard, as well as the clicking of his nails on the ground.
Oh.
The sound of a dragging...
Little tippy-tappies.
His little tippy-tappies. The sound of a dragging chain is also heard, a sound that was common when Charles's dog was looking for him. Oh. Makes you think he's
See, that's what I'm saying.
You know.
That's what I'm saying, is like, as sad as it is for a dog to die,
it's even worse when this dog is sad.
It's so fucking sad when you see those pictures of like the dog laying on the grave.
And then they're crying.
Or like laying on the human.
I can't.
I can't do it.
Those like make me so sad.
Like, no.
No.
Mm.
So the attic, people will constantly hear movement, like someone is up in the attic moving around when no one is usually up there. Guests and staff have heard a little boy asking someone to come play with me.
Yeah.
Which is sad because that's where the boy stayed.
Oh.
I know.
Okay.
Another person in that room once heard someone say, help me, help me.
Reminds me of, did you ever see Little Princess?
No.
Ooh. My sister made me watch it. It's a little creepy. Well, parts of it. Because when she retells the parts with, like, her dad, it's like this... I don't know. I haven't watched it since I was a kid. I just remember being freaked out. But when her dad is not going to come pick her back up from the orphanage because he died in battle, whatever.
Oh, God.
It was either 1 or 2. I can't remember which one. World Wars.
Thank you.
Those are the only ones that are numbered. And she gets put up into the attic with the help. which is how she finds her BFF. But
still.
that's what that reminds me of.
Yeah.
Or Cinderella's story. She was also put in the attic.
So a paranormal investigator felt something tugging on her hair in the attic hallway just outside of the boys' room, but no one was behind her or near her. Then the basement. This is where the entrance to the caves are.
This is how I know I couldn't do paranormal shit, because I couldn't even go in my own basement as a kid.
I think that's just a universal thing. People hate basements.
Like, I would turn off the lights, and then, like, the last light, I was, like, looking around, flip it off.
Oh, you
right
can't,
up the stairs.
You can't look around.
No, just, like, making sure that, like, everything's ready. I'm good to go.
Right.
Flip it off. Book it.
Sprint. And then it sounds like someone's behind you the whole time.
Literally up until I got to my room on the 3rd floor and slammed it closed.
Yep.
There was someone behind me until that moment.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Now I have to close my door because of where my bed is.
Oh.
Because I see directly down the hallway. Mm-hmm. And especially since I started hanging up my jacket, it looks like a Dementor is standing in my hallway.
That's why Joe and I have our sides of the bed. I have the side of the bed where I can't see into the hallway.
So what happens now is I have to make sure I have everything I need before I close the door.
So you don't have to go back out.
Because once the door is closed, if I have to open it back up, I'm like opening it with my eyes closed, hoping to fucking God there's nothing behind it. I hate it.
So yeah, the basement. So these are like the entrance to the caves.
Considered annoying.
To where they had stored the beer. So this area is usually referred to as the gates of hell.
Good.
The family is often seen lurking around the entrance to the tunnels. There are one or two, quote, angry and fussy entities who haunt this area.
Well, it's the gates to hell.
Right.
They gotta be a little fussy.
Psychics who have come down to the basement have sensed an angry, silent, shadowy figure who will pace back and forth in front of the sealed tunnels. And there is a dining room that is downstairs for large affairs like big dinners and even weddings. One investigator spotted a white, misty apparition floating up by the doorway. As he turned to grab his camera, it disappeared, and all he was able to take was a picture of an orb where the apparition had been.
Do you think that when a place is haunted by the original people, like what you're talking about?
Like the Lemps.
Yeah. Do you think, like, the extra things that are in there that, like, aren't necessarily associated with the family, do you think they come because it's like, oh, this, like, it's like a light that all the bugs attract to?
Maybe.
You know? Like,
and
all
like
the spirits.
They say a lot of times, like, poltergeists and demonic activities and stuff come to families who are having, like, a place where a lot of emotion is, like, a lot of dark emotion. Like, if you have a lot of happy emotion, these things won't come.
Yeah.
But places where there's a lot of dark emotion, these, like, kind of spirits, like, manifest.
Yeah.
So it could be, because there's a lot of death here. There's a lot of, like, sadness.
Well, right. And so I wonder if, like, other spirits.
They could.
Maybe they don't have a home or whatever the case may be, if, like, that causes them. Because, like, you hear all the time about these haunted places where it's like, oh, you have this person and this person where you're like, okay, checks out. Mm-hmm. But then you might have, like, a random child or whatever.
Right.
And you're like, well, where the fuck did you come from?
Yeah, why are you here?
So I wonder if, like,
I mean, really, maybe.
Congregate.
Maybe. All right, so in this room, too, the tablecloth has been torn off the tables. And those tables have been...
Like the magic trick?
Yeah. And those tables have been moved or disrupted when people have had their backs to them. So the people, like, see the table, it's all nicely set, they turn, they look back, and the tablecloth's gone. Others have also felt a presence behind them while downstairs, staring over their shoulders. And a little just about the caves. So the caves are very dark and deep.
It's a cave.
That eyeless cave fish have been spotted swimming through the pool that is still down there.
What?
Eyeless cave fish. It's a real thing, like fish that don't have eyes. It's because the pools connect to other parts of the cave that has the water, which is how they have the water down there. Mm-hmm. So they've seen these eyeless cave fish swimming through the water, meaning that it's just very dark and deep. Yeah, I know. Matches struck in the dark cave will sputter and go out immediately after being lit, just because of how dark and damp it is.
Yeah.
Yep. But those obviously aren't the only places where strange happenings occur.
Of course not.
The young, illegitimate boy has been seen haunting the mansion. People walking outside have even reported seeing him in the windows looking out.
No. Windows and mirrors. No.
Ghost investigators have been known to leave toys behind for him, and when they return to them later, the toys are in a different location. Mm-hmm. A psychic held a seance in the mansion in which a spirit allegedly confirmed that he was the, quote, monkey face boy. Mm. His name was Zeke. The psychic claimed that he told...
Do we know his name or no?
No.
Okay.
So the psychic claimed that he told her that he had died when he fell down the stairs in the mansion in 1943 when he ventured out of the attic to look for his mom.
Wow.
I know.
I wonder why he didn't end up going with his mom.
I don't know.
Because usually I feel like
I feel like it was a one-night stay.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, why isn't
Yeah,
he...
I don't know. That's a good question.
I feel like at that point, if he's with dad, that means that mom's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it didn't ever talk about anything. It just said that he stayed with William.
Yeah.
The woman's bathroom downstairs. Many women have reported seeing a man peeking over the stalls. Later, they see a picture of William Jr., Billy, and realize that that is the man who is peeking.
Nasty.
This happened to one woman. She went to the bathroom, and when she returned to the bar, she told the two men who were with her, quote, "I hope you got an eyeful." The men immediately denied ever leaving the bar, which the bartender did verify. She then learned of who the speaker was.
You.
Well, in William Lemp's room, the main location for a lot of...
say that again?
Well, in William Lemp's room... What?
I just heard a bunch of wills.
The main location for a lot of the suicides. Guests have reported hearing someone running up and kicking the door. Some believe this is a habitual haunting. So on the day that William killed himself, William Jr., Billy, had run up the stairs and started kicking the bedroom door to get in and to get to his father. A white apparition of an older gentleman with a 2-inch beard has been seen sitting by the window.
That's what I mean. Who is this guy? Why is he here?
It could be one of the Lemps. I don't know.
Or maybe he's like, hey, can I hang out with you other spirits?
Right, I just won't chill here.
Yeah, maybe he didn't have anywhere else to go.
And a presence is usually felt near the freestanding mirror in the room. So there's your fun mirror thing. The strong scent of lavender is usually noticed when in Lillian's suite. A shadow has been seen slipping through the crack in the bathroom door. And her usually locked room is sometimes left wide open. And speaking of smells, in one of the bedrooms, sometimes the smell of sewage emanates from nowhere in particular.
Ew.
People believe that this means that the spirit doesn't like you.
Well,
yeah. In the Lavender Lady's dining room, which had originally been William Lemp Jr.'s office and study, an investigator from Missouri Ghost Hunters Society was pushed out of the room by a forceful male presence.
Damn.
And as many pictures do, the eyes of people in paintings truly seem to follow you as you move around the room.
Yeah. Well, you know what? They say that about the fucking Mona Lisa, so you know what?
Guests have also been touched by an unseen presence. Roy boy. Sorry for the panting of my dog.
I know. Mom is almost done, and then you will get a snack.
I have less than a page, Bubba.
Okay.
Some guests have reported having their hair pet in the middle of the night, causing them to wake up.
No! I swear to God, if I'm ever petted.
And people hear this baby cry when no baby is in the house. Orbs appear in many photos. And okay, so I was reading an article by Legends of America, and at the end, they included photos that people have taken. So people will talk about their experiences.
Yeah.
One photo taken by Kathy Alexander read, quote, "The staircase at the Lemp Mansion is said to be one of the 3 areas of ghostly activities. When you click on the picture to view an enlarged version, you can clearly see several orbs at the top." True. Even more creepy, see the little boy peeking through the banisters on the right side of the photograph. There were no children with us that night. Moreover, the landing is more than 15 feet high. I looked at the picture.
No.
It is so freaking creepy. There is a child in the photo, and he's staring directly at the camera, and literally, I saw the photo, and I got goosebumps, and I was like, oh my God. I know you're not going to want to see it, but if anyone wants to see it, go to our show notes, and the links for Legends of America, go there and scroll all the way down to the bottom.
Because my ass won't remember to include it unless it's in, when I Google the name of the house, if it's in there.
It might not be, but it's so creepy.
Okay, I gotta find a place to write this shit down. Well, we need to include specific photos.
Do you want to see the picture?
No.
Well, you're going to have to look at it. You might as well see it now when I'm with you.
Fine.
Okay, I'll show you right when we're done recording. Okay, so today, the mansion really takes on its whole creepy reputation, transforming into a haunted maze every Halloween.
Good for them.
Visitors are required to take either an elevator several stories underground, which would be the truly terrifying part for me. I can handle the tunnels,
I can't go
not
underground.
the elevator. Or they have to descend an old spiral staircase, all to get to the caverns below.
No.
I would do the staircase.
I wouldn't do any. I'm not going underground.
It also offers historic and haunted tours and throws murder mystery dinners and Halloween parties.
Okay, that's fun. I've always wanted to go to a murder mystery.
I know!
Yes.
Dan Papel, the manager of the Lemp Brewery Haunted House, says, quote, "Everything is underground where no one can hear you scream."
Terrible review.
he's the manager. So he's the one who's like, come here, it's super scary.
Still terrible.
Believe it or not, but Lemp Mansion has long been considered one of the most haunted places in the United States.
What?
It has appeared on Travel Channel's list of the most haunted places in America and on CNN Travel's 10 spookiest buildings in the world.
Oh my God, CNN.
I know.
Wow.
CNN Travel.
Oh, Jay.
I looked at their website and all of the events that they hold. I really do want to go here, and I would love to go on the ghost tours here. They seem very awesome and really, really fun, but I don't think I would stay the night because people have said that, like, some people will go and they'll be the only guests because it's a house. So there's other rooms there. You just are, like, kind of assigned one of the rooms to sleep in. And so sometimes the other rooms won't be occupied, so they'll be like, you can just kind of explore the, like, mansion as you want to.
Honestly, that's really fun.
It's so cool, but so people will explore, and then they'll, like, have all this, like, creepy stuff happen. I obviously didn't include all of it, but, like, a lot of creepy stuff has happened. But so there you have it, the super haunted and active Lemp Mansion.
I would do, like, a murder mystery kind
I
of
would
thing.
absolutely, because they include a drink. I read what it has. It's like a drink is included, and then they're included throughout the night, but one's like complimentary. You get a salad, you get like an appetizer, you get a meal, you do the murder mystery. Like, it sounds very fun.
I would just like to know if, like, my detective skills that I think I have in my head
Are as good.
are as good as an actual mystery.
I would love to do a murder mystery dinner.
Like, I fucking loved Clue.
Oh my God, my cousins, when they would come over when we were younger, we played Clue all the freaking time.
Love Clue.
We should play it. We should do it for like a game night because you only
Hell
need what,
yeah.
like 4 people?
Exactly.
Let's do it.
Okay. I used to have the Simpsons Clue.
Oh, fun. we have to play.
We have.
I love Clue.
Me too. I love board games.
I love board games.
I'm so good at them.
Well, thanks for listening. This was a good one. I
This
liked
was
one.
good. We were a little drunk.
A little bit.
Definitely by now.
Yep.
And we've been in our new studio, and we feel so official, and it feels so cool.
It feels so good having like our tablecloth back and like
I
having all
would
of our
literally,
stuff up.
I don't know how you do it. I would be in this room all the time.
This is going to be my room because I love Joe. I love Richie. But there's
But
sometimes
you
when
just
like I
want-
just need to not be near them.
Yeah.
What? So this room is my safe room. I love you.
She says with such love in her heart.
You get it. You get it. And I mean, even Bubba likes this room. He's been hanging out with us the whole time.
Exactly. Not because he thinks I'm going to give him snacks soon.
And now he's licking his arm. Or leg. All legs. No arms.
I truly think that if they're in the front, their arms, and the back, their legs. Even if it's a 4-legged animal,
Thank you.
I don't care.
Me too.
Yes.
Well, thanks for listening. Like I said earlier, like and review us on all places, and we will
Follow us on the socials, especially Instagram. The other ones you can follow, just don't expect much. But Instagram,
we're on that one.
popping off.
And let us know if you've rated and reviewed us, because then we would love to send you something.
Yes, email us at ascarystatepodcast@gmail.com.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
So I think that's all we have for you. So stay scary.
Stay safe.